What's going on, guys? All right, so I'm going to be breaking down the government stimulus plan, and this is going to be as of Sunday, March 22nd. All right, so for starters, there's nothing that you have to do to get this money. If you're an American citizen and you file your taxes as of 2018, the government is going to look over 2018's tax return, and based on the numbers, they're going to either give you a direct deposit or it's going to be a check. I think it's really going to be a check. I'm not sure if they're going to do direct deposit, but it's not set in stone exactly what they're going to do, but the numbers is based on as follows. So for single taxpayers, if you made less than $75,000 in 2018, you're going to get a few checks in the mail. It's going to be periodically. It's not going to be all at once, but you're going to get a few checks in the mail, and each check is going to equal $1,200. If you made between $75,000 and $99,000 for 2018, you're going to get a few checks in the mail, but they're not going to equal $1,200. Each check is going to be worth a little less than that. And if you made more than $99,000 in 2018, just disregard this whole process because they're not giving you anything. All right, so that's for single taxpayers. For married taxpayers, it goes just like this. If you made less than $150,000 in 2018, you're gonna get $2,400 per check. So it's pretty much just doubled. If you made more than $198,000 for that year, you're getting nothing. And then lastly, if you have kids, you're eligible to get $500 per child. All right, so these checks are part of the government of the government stimulus plan. It's not a bailout, it's called a stimulus plan. It's really just a bailout. But all these checks is just $1 trillion package designed to help individuals and businesses, stay above water, keep them from filing bankruptcy. All right, now I'm going to break down I'm going to break down the stimulus package, and it goes just like this. $50 billion it's set for the airline industry. $150 billion is set aside for businesses that's highly affected by it. It could be hotels, cruises, casinos, shopping mall operators. $300 billion of that is set aside for short-term loans. This is for small businesses to help them, again, to stay above water so they're going to take a financial hit, but it's not going to be a drastic financial hit for them where they have to file for bankruptcy. $499 billion of that is going to be set aside for Americans. That's going to be the checks that I mentioned earlier. And then lastly, $1 billion is going to be set aside for food. That's for the low income. Now, this is not free money like everyone thinks it is. All of this comes with a price. This is the US government. They're not going to give you anything without an actual plan designed that's going to help them out in the long run. Now, yes, the government is sending out money, but the government doesn't really have money to give out. Now, the government, they actually get their money from taxes, but that alone isn't even enough to cover their own overhead. In 2019, the government spent $984 billion more than what they actually received in taxes. Now, when the government needs more money, when they spend more than they have coming in, they'll ask for loans. They'll ask other countries for loans, or they'll do treasury bonds. But I'm going to save that for another video. I really just want to speak on the Federal Reserve Bank and their part in all of this. So the Federal Reserve Bank, or the Fed, that's what we're going to do. We're going to call it the Fed. So the Fed isn't actually federal. They literally say that they're not federal. They don't have any reserves. And it's not actually a bank that you can just walk into. But we call it the Federal Reserve Bank. So the Fed. So the Fed has a superpower, and their superpower is called the printing press. So the government asks for money. The Fed, they work with the Treasury Department, and they use their superpower, which is the printing press, and they print as much money as needed, and they give it to the government. And then with this, the government acts like Oprah. It's like, you get bailed out, you get bailed out, you get bailed out. Everyone is getting bailed out. Now again, there's a cost to all of this. For starters, this is going to raise our national debt, which is already a ridiculous number. Next off, being that the government gets their money from taxes, it's definitely going to raise taxes. And then another thing is inflation. And inflation is definitely going to rise because of this. So when it comes to inflation, you can think of supply and demand. So if everyone has something, it's not worth as much, but if everyone doesn't have it, it's going to be worth more. Let's say if you have a limited sneaker release, if it's limited sneaker release, everyone doesn't have it, so it's going to be worth a lot more. But if it's going to be something that everyone's going to have, it's not limited, so it's not going to be as pricey as, let's say, a limited supply would be. Now, as more cash is printing out, the value of the dollar decreases, and this raises inflation. Also, it raises prices, and that's the reason why you're going to see a rise of rent, you're going to see a rise of groceries, and so forth. So these checks seem like a great idea, but it's really an answer to a short-term problem, but you're going to have long-term consequences. So you definitely want to be aware that it is American tax dollars that will be paying for these businesses to get bailed out. All because these businesses decide to be greedy and make greedy business decisions, instead of our tax money actually paying for services that our tax money is designed to pay for. Also, taxes will increase, and we're definitely going to see inflation come in over time. Now, we don't know how long any of this will last, so what you want to do is protect yourself, protect your family. You definitely want to lower your overhead. You want to make sure when these checks come, you don't just blow it out. You want to spend it wisely because, again, we don't know how long this will last, and you want to make sure that you lower your overhead and spend this check wisely.